Hi, my name's John Oliver. I work for Harrison and Harrison Organs here in Durham. I've worked here for over 30 years. In July this year we went to Colchester to take the Moot Hall organ out. It's a very old organ, about 100 years old. We were there for roughly 2 weeks dismantling. We brought it back to the workshop here and we're restoring it now. Just about finished it. We start by marking it all in Colchester, then it's brought back to Durham. It's all stripped down and a lot of the work is re-leathering, so we strip all leather off and put new leather on. We use a lot of sheepskin and we restore the valves, all the small intricate parts that you find in the actions of the organ. We've had a team of 7 or 8 people working on it from July and we've just about got it complete now, and we're going back on site in January 2015. You've got to have a high level of craftsmanship. The way the organ works, it works on a pinhole, so just a very small amount of air leaking anywhere in the system would cause what we call a cipher. So the organ would work when it wasn't supposed to. The organist wouldn't have to touch the keys and notes would play. So everything has got to be done to a very high standard.
Good afternoon. I'm Chris Batchelor, the Managing Director of Harrison & Harrison Organ Builders in Durham. We've been building organs and rebuilding organs for about 150 years now. And just in the early 1900s, 2 particular jobs, Ely Cathedral and Durham Cathedral, really set the firm on the course we've been going for some time now. Large pneumatic organs, such as that in Colchester Town Hall, which we're restoring at the moment, are very important to us. There was a time when pneumatic action, of course, was deeply unfashionable, and many such organs were converted either to electric pneumatic action or scrapped altogether. So the opportunity to restore a very good example of this type of organ was one we couldn't miss. Unfortunately, the organ had been slightly messed around in the 70s. This was a great opportunity for us, with our metal hands and head voicer Andy Scott, to get to grips with the organ and really put it back where it needs to be on the horizon in Colchester.
I'm Andrew Scott and I'm head voicer of Harrison & Harrison, and it's my job to sort out what the organs sound like and decide the tonal architecture of how the stops fit together. In my role on new organs, I have to visit the building, decide how big the pipes need to be, the pipe scaling, and then go and visit the site at the end and voice the organ in the building so that it fits that building. With the Colchester organ, it's my job to make sure that the organ sounds as it did when it was originally built by Norman and Baird. And in our work, we're sweeping away the 1970s work that was done. It was all fashion at the time to make squeaky sounds and put high-pitched things on the organ to take the tonal, what the organ sounded like, totally different. But we've turned the clock back and we've recreated 3 stops on the organ based on copies of turn of the century Norman and Baird stops from the Usher Hall in Edinburgh. So it's my job to then voice those stops to match the original pipe work so that they don't stand out as new. In voicing, it's my job to determine firstly the scale of the pipe, and that's how big the diameter is, and also how thick the tongue should be. And then the art of voicing is to curve the tongue. The tongue's got a very particular curve on, and it takes a little bit of practice to get used to putting the curve on. In the Colchester organ, the reed stops all came back to Durham to be cleaned and repaired, and all we simply did was strip them down one by one and take the tongues out. And I'll take the tongue out of this one, and you can see just what's involved in that. If I get that off there. And the tongues were all taken out just like so. The little tiny wooden wedge, if any were damaged, they were replaced. And this piece here called the shallot was removed, leaving just the pipe itself, which was then washed. And then because the stop's already been voiced and it's all established, what we do is we then have to put everything back together again. And we put this on the machine, and it should hopefully play a note. And it does, and rather unlike a flue pipe, which is one where the sound's created by air being split on the top lip, with this being a reed, it'll play more than one note. So if I hold the note and move the spring down to make the tongue vibrate faster, you'll hear what it does. So plays a lot of notes, but I've got to get it in the right place, which is somewhere around there, and then I'll work on it until they're all right.
Going around the workshop though, of course, people will see that we work on all sorts of organs, large organs and small organs. And we're working on a small organ for a church in Norway at the moment, a mechanical one, as well as several other large organs in London. And that, I think, is one of the strengths of Harrison & Harrison. We can turn our hands to pretty much everything that comes our way. We're working in Africa as well, and hopefully back in America very shortly. But the Colchester Town Hall organ is a great piece to be working on, a fully pneumatic organ. One, as I said, which has been through the mill a bit in the 70s. But all these tiny little actions, which are just powered by puffs of air, are very sophisticated indeed. I mean, it's easy for us to forget how sophisticated these organs were when they were built over 100 plus years ago.